Greetings Nerdy List aficionados and welcome back. Today we're going to be tackling some Infinity Stone, or rather Infinity Gem secrets. Now for some you'll be up to date on some of these, but for others hopefully these will leave you with more Infinity Gem knowledge than you had before. Maybe more than you know what to do with. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 secrets about the Infinity Stones. Number 10. They were once a person. That's right, the gems were once part of a cosmic celestial entity who was alone in the multiverse. Cursed to live in a barren wasteland of space, the creature gave in to despair and killed itself, or rather simply ceased to be. Upon the cessation of existence, the gems were formed out of the residual energies left behind. Now this information was revealed pretty late in the game for the gems, as it was revealed in 1990 in Thanos Quest No. 2, when Thanos discovered the origins. However, these stones, originally called the Soul Gems, were first introduced into Marvel lore all the way back in 1972, and only one was presented, the Soul Gem. In fact, it wasn't until 1976 that Captain Marvel revealed that there were 6 gems total, a fact which remained true for a while. There was a 7th for a bit, but that's a tale for later on. Number 9. They have to exist. Now this completely contradicts the MCU, that being the Marvel Cinematic Universe's logic. However, in comic continuity, these gems are intrinsically tied to the multiverse and its creation, so they must exist for the universe to exist. This fact was recently discovered by Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, in 2007, when he and the rest of the Illuminati set out to gather the stones so they could destroy them. Also, Reed tends to have the gauntlet across a lot of realities. So in this one, Reed takes the gauntlet and attempts to wish the stones out of existence, but finds he can't do it. The Watcher then arrives and tells him they have to exist. So instead of destroying the stones, he removes them from the gauntlet and divides them amongst the Illuminati. Which is good. Reed with a gauntlet is bad news for everyone. Number 8. They make you evil. Sorta. The Infinity Gems contain a lot of power and are fairly easy to wield, so the temptations to just wildly change things can be quite great. So they tend not to bring out the best in their wielders, especially those with some subconscious issues. For example, Sue Storm, or Sue Richards, who was transformed back into Malice by the Soul Gem. Malice is a dark part of her subconscious she keeps hidden. Probably came up as a result of tons of neglect from Reed. Reed turns despotic with the gauntlet too. They make the wearer very susceptible to temptation, as mentioned. This tends to be tried out as a plot point only when needed though. You know, for drama. Number 7. They're sentient. Now this may not be surprising to some, as they were once part of a cosmic being, but these stones are not just inert objects that channel power. They're also drawn together. Part of why in the comics it's not too difficult to find them, even if fetching them can be a bit harrowing and take a bit of cunning. However, on top of that, the stones want to be used. For example, Adam Warlock once noted that the Soul Gem would gather souls into its soul realm on its own. I think we all need to stay away from the Soul Gem. Seriously, how much easier would MCU Thanos' job have been if the Time Stone just appeared in front of him like it did Reed during the 2007 arc? I'm telling you, the Marvel Universe itself, the very fabric of reality, wants Reed to be evil. Just let it happen. Number 6. They don't work in the DC Universe. Now some of you may be like, well of course they don't. Or Sasha, are you okay? You basic noob? Those are separate universes. Well, to that I say, never forget the crossovers of the 90s and early 2000s between the two comic companies. People remember the Amalgam Universe stuff, where the characters were merged into one, but often forget the lead-ups, where the characters fought or teamed up, or Jubilee's crush on Tim Drake. Well, the gauntlet found its way into the 2003 JLA/Avengers crossover, and Darkseid attempted to wield it. And well, nothing happened, thank goodness. Cause man, Darkseid is terrifying at the best of times. I don't think the multiverses could have handled him with a working gauntlet. Thankfully, the energy they need to work comes from the Marvel Universe, and they weren't there, so crisis averted. Number 5. They've changed colors. Now the colors of the gems have been subject to change, and in the comics they actually changed quite recently at the time of this recording. From the original colors of blue, green, pink, purple, red, and yellow. That being which gem is which color has switched. And the reason? Well, the most recent reason is the MCU. Post Secret Wars, and especially in Infinity Wars, the stones are now lined up with their film counterparts, so there's no more confusion. I'm always kinda like, why weren't they lined up in the first place? Probably because the Infinity War stuff was added down the line. I know people like to be like, it was always all plotted, but come on now. 4. They form combos. Since their reformation in the modern era, the stones now act off of each other, differently depending upon combination and also the person wielding them. So some stones work better together than others. Think of it like the emotion spectrum of the Lantern rings. while that was going on. Some boosted others and some were less effective. So the Mind Stone, which augments the mental/telepathic powers of its users, allows for better control over the Power Stone, but having a deep connection with the Soul Gem allows for better control over the Mind Stone. So if you were clever, you would only need one or two that augmented your own strengths to really do some damage. I mean, Reed knows what's up. He gave Professor Xavier the Mind Stone. Reed's a supervillain in hiding. The Venture Bros is the most accurate representation, confirmed. Number 3. The Reality Stone allows access to the multiverse. So the Reality Stone allows its user control and access not only to one's own reality, but to the reality of the multiverse. It's pretty trippy actually, like it could really mess you up. You could go full Psycho Pirate. Although in Infinity Wars, Captain Marvel used it to talk to all other versions of herself who also had the Reality Stone, so they could brainstorm to solve their problems together. You know who else convenes with themselves? Reed. Okay, I'll stop. Still, with that much scope, I'm not sure I'd want that stone, to be honest. Number 2. Anyone can wield it. In the comics. So a huge plot point in the MCU is how the power of the stones are so great that they can destroy the user. Quill only survived as long as he did because of his genetics and the power of friendship, but in the comics, pretty much anyone could use it. The issue is more about whether one should or not, and the whole corrupting one's heart thing. Still, kind of upsetting when you think about, well, certain characters wielding it in Endgame. If this was a 616 universe, they'd be fine. Number 1. There are more than 6. Now some of you will be saying, whatevs, I know all about the Ego Stone and Nemesis and all that jazz, how it converged reality and then got broken up and absorbed into the other stones. Okay, well wait, there's more. There was also a Death Stone that dusted Thanos. It was created by the Reality Stone. There was a Black Continuity Stone that Deadpool got his hands on to talk to comic book writers with. There was a Rhythm Gem from Marvel Superhero Squad, the Infinity Gauntlet video game. And there was a Build Stone from the LEGO Marvel Superheroes Guardians of the Galaxy, the Thanos threat. So yeah, there's 6 now, but who knows, we can always make more. Writer and continuity's prerogative. So those were 10 secrets about the Infinity Gem/stones. Were you up on all of them? Let me know down below. Also, are you as worried about Reed as I am? Listen, the Fantastic Four are awesome, I've read them for years, so I can say with certainty, he's not alright. Kelly already asked you which gem would you wield, so I'll ask you something different. Which character do you think should have a gem? Which one and why? Multi-part. Thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more nerdy lists. See you again soon.